then click on the subscribe button and make sure you don't miss anything.
Before we start this video, make sure y'all like, comment, and share, and also subscribe. Fest. Just make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, especially share this video.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Wheelifeshow with your hostess with the mostest, Quincy
and Romeo.
Look at that timing. Timing is great. Timing is everything. All right, y'all.
Yes, it is. Timing is very important.
It sure is. Look at that. All right, y'all. So we are now on a new conversation of health. Health. Tell me about my health.
The title of this episode is "Tell Me About My Health," and that is
right.
That is because your disability affects your health in multiple ways, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, we got to do a couple of housekeeping things, referencing back to a couple of episodes, so everybody know. This is an audio and a YouTube show. So the same audio that we be recording for that we put on YouTube, we also on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Pocket Podcast, Radio Republic. I said Beacon, right?
No, you didn't, but you just did.
Okay, I had to make sure I'm doing all the streaming platforms you can find us at. We're now on Apple yet, but we are on Spotify. You can also look us up on Anchor and
Yes,
listen to us.
Anchor.fm.
Also, we will do our live podcast at the this is this season the 10 series season.
The live show will be the last episode.
And that will be a live podcast of us. You can see our face. We haven't decided yet if we're gonna show our faces or keep it the same like we've been doing, and y'all just hear our lovely voices.
Okay.
We also, when it comes to our episode, everything is going to be conversational because
this is a very conversational podcast because we want to learn so that we can teach you.
And also we want you to join the conversation.
And we want to learn from you. So leave comments in the comment section down below if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yes.
Or in the comment section of whatever podcast app you happen to be using.
Yes, review us, rate us on there. But also on Anchor, you can leave voice messages because it has a spot on Anchor where you can leave voice messages on Anchor. We can actually hear voice because we want to hear from you. We want to, if you want us to explain the topic more, or you know what, this is the topic that I would like to know more, or go into a bit more. We can always. This is the 10 episode series, so we can always put that in our episode.
Very true.
What y'all know. So let's get to tell me about your health. So we did explain briefly about our condition, but we will go a little bit more detail about our conditions.
In this episode, we explained about our conditions in episode 1. So in this episode, we're going to go into how that affects our lives and how we adapt to them and what our health has to do with those situations.
Oh yes, and we also will be referencing. I found some great stuff. You can follow
We're
this.
going to reference information um, that we found.
Yes, from different. Luckily, I'm happy that we want to spread the mass. Oh yes, people on YouTube. please share us out. We want to share it to the masses. Cause like our things, like the post said, hit that like button, subscribe to us, and also we will share it to the masses. And if it's not mentioned every Friday, there's always going to be a new episode every Friday.
Yep. It's
But
a weekly podcast every Friday.
yes, but we want to share it to the masses, to the masses, to the masses. Just like now, some references that we will be using today, especially on this podcast, are people that have listened to us and have only one person wrote, but that was completely not for us in particular, but did like what they would like to was doing.
Okay, now on to the episode itself at hand. Now that all the promo stuff is out of the way,
Housekeeping.
as I said in episode 1, I have cerebral palsy, and I explained what that is. But as a refresher, cerebral palsy is simply, um, in short, brain damage caused by a lack of oxygen in the cerebral section of the brain, hence cerebral palsy, and it affects your gross motor skills. This also causes you to experience a lot of um, muscular skeletal pain, especially when it comes to learning how to use these gross motor muscles.
Yes, and also let's put an emphasis on also that he has been disabled all his life.
That is true.
This is going to be very important when it comes to health wise too. He has been disabled all his life.
I I was born with my disability, and Quincy uh, acquired his. We will say
Yes.
he will explain that when he goes into detail about himself. But when you are, uh, shall we say, learning how to use these muscles that are affected by cerebral palsy, it is a very painful experience, and it takes a long time to do very basic things like putting on your socks, learning how to put on your shirt. Very simple things, getting out of your bed without actually having to fall. There were years where I used to sit at, the kiddie table as a kid, and I didn't know how to get out of my chair because my mom used to put me in it, and that's where I used to eat. But I never learned how to get out of it, so I just had to back the table up. I couldn't back myself up because my legs weren't strong enough to push off the floor, so I would push away from the table so that my knees would come out, and then I would just fall down because I didn't know how to get out of the chair. I didn't learn that as a child. So I had to make a way to get out of the chair, and that was the way. Of course, as I got older, I learned there was a way to get out of your chair without purposefully falling. Um, the learning the way your muscles work is very, very important. I advocate everyone with a physical disability, especially a muscular one, um, become very good friends with your doctor and take some science classes because you need to understand what they are trying to say to you when they speak because doctors want your body to work the way the book says it should. Of course, we know nobody's body actually works like that, but they want our bodies to work like that, even though that's impossible. And we need to explain to them why that's impossible so that we can meet somewhere in the middle. So I highly suggest, if you are a person with a physical disability, if you acquire one, or if you are a young teenager that was born with one, and the doctors are telling you you should have this surgery or do this and do that, have some science and some medicine of your own in your body, in your back pocket, so you can tell them when they're wrong.
Right. Well, that's why. Okay, so now it's time to go for me because, like, now, hence when I said in the beginning, he been disabled all his life. So let's go with me. I acquired my disability. We in another conversation we will use terms because, like I said, it brought references I seen that I like that we can that I want to use in other episodes and conversations we have. But hence he said that I require mine. I got shot in the back. So my injury, I have a spinal cord injury. There's different levels of the spinal cord that does different things. With different levels of the spinal cord that have nerves that do different things. You got your so basically you got your cerebral, you got your thoracic, come here, Quincy. Cerebral, thoracic, lumbar, your
Being your cervical spine, is that what you
yes, it's cerebral. So cervical.
mean? Yeah, your cervical spine is your neck, by the way, for those of you
Well, hold
who
on.
are confused.
Cervical, thoracic, lumbar. Then you got your tailbone, basically tailbone. They break your tailbone into two parts this small, but they say with spinal cord injury, the farther it go down with your spinal cord, the more damage you can the more damage you cause. Spinal cord injury is more difficult to explain than cerebral palsy. Then stuff that you could like cerebral palsy, like you said, it's a brain thing. While like my spinal cord injury is really technical because my spinal cord when I got shot out, it's hit at two parts where it's affecting the thoracic and the cerebral. Then when you talk about different parts of the spinal cord, your cerebral deal with your neck and head, but then it go with your eyes and so much your motor feelings and your hands. Your thoracic do with your lungs, your heart, your pancreas. It's a whole bunch.
Okay, but let's talk about how your injury specifically affects your body.
My fix my body. I don't have
Tell
so.
the people.
So if you want to go specifics, my specifics with my body is that I don't have. I'm paralyzed. I don't have control of my bowel and bladders, and I don't have a sense. My feeling stops at my nipple line. So I can get burnt below my nipple line, get stabbed, anything, and I won't know that you're doing it unless I physically see it and go, oh my, I got to tell them, right, oh my goodness, I'm getting stabbed, I'm hurt. My body won't react to it because I won't know. Hence, that I really got two burn marks on me because I've been by. I like since I had they go to the secondary condition. I had to have surgery and I got come on Quincy, come on wrong with the word. The word is um be anemic a little bit, and I need heat. I have a little heater I sleep by, and at the time when the little heater broke, I got burnt, and I didn't know that I got burnt. That was on my side. The first burn was on my chest, and I think I ate some noodles. And then when I popped it up, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know I was burnt."
Mm. Well,
In that, so then when he referenced when Romeo said reference about you should know, you should have some type of knowledge. You should. This goes into the fact that you should have some type of knowledge about your injury because I did not. Let me tell you, through this whole process of my injury, I did not know. I had to learn. When I got shot in Chicago, they kept saying, "Well, you and this, you and that." I went from being in a thoracic to when I went to rehab, being that I was a T8. And I was like, what's the what first of all, what does the C, what does 8 mean and la la la. I had to find out because
those are things you have to learn as a disabled person. Yes.
like you said, the doctor was saying this is by the book. It's the book way, but you gotta also learn your body. So you gotta you have to do some research. Now,
Yes.
it comes to therapy wise.
Therapy can be an episode within itself because
Therapy,
I have
therapy,
things to say about that.
the therapy gonna be. This is all about health. Yeah, because this is all about in the realm of doctors. Like you said, the doctor gonna feel this way, just like you feel about. Well, hold on, the doctor gonna say this way, but you need to learn your own stuff because the more that I came back home and the more that I researched and the more help I got from resources I got from different therapists. Because I could never say I went to therapy because I had to learn to put myself like I said, I don't have to control my bowels and bladder, so I had to learn how to cap myself. The suppository, luckily that when I was able bodied, I worked in a nursing home. I worked in the healthcare field. I knew what was already going on. I didn't know. I didn't go deep into this part because this is not my dish. My dish, if you ask me, my real dish is the blood. I know a lot about your kidneys. I know a lot about dialysis. I know a lot about your blood. A lot about your blood work and what number supposed to be. I know a lot about that. I did work in a nursing home for a short period of time for like 5 years before I said I'm gonna go to the clinic side. So I know about a little bit. I know essentially about wounds because I was working before I left. I worked on the respiratory floor, the bariatric, and wound floor. So when you came to the floor, you had to have a big sore that we had to fix that was stuffing. You was on a vent, or you would take your break out. Most of the time, you was on dialysis, and or you a big person about to get the bariatric surgery. So luckily, I knew some things, but like I said, with my injury and my health, I had to learn more because I didn't know what, like I said, CA was and the whole therapy. I think everybody should take some therapy, regardless if you've been disabled all your life or like now me being disabled. You should know some.
That brings up a great point, actually. Therapy is good if you are there for reasons that are necessary.
Yes,
Okay, whether you need whether you're about to have a surgery, you're recovering from a surgery, or you just want to strengthen some muscles.
yes,
In these cases, therapy is very, very good. Therapy is bad, and physical therapists are going to hate that I say this, but I'm going to say this anyway. Therapy is bad when the therapist becomes the authority and doesn't listen to the patient.
but that comes up to bring back to
Because
the point that
because then
you should know your body.
it'll never work. And this is why you have to be an advocate for yourself.
Yes, you do
And
because
I always say, make the therapist or the doctor tell you why something is necessary. Don't just sit there and say, the therapist said do this. Why
exactly.
should I do it?
You, the third person, of all, when it comes to the medical team, you and the medical team should be on the same path and the same notions of what's going on. And like you said, why? Because you should know about your body than them. If you like me coming into this, I didn't know much about it, but that's when the research comes, learning about your condition and learning. You should always learn. But always learn. Well, the key,
Because
anything from this conversation you get, learn about your condition because you don't want the doctor to say, like he's saying, therapist saying, well, I should do X, Y, and Z, and you don't know why you do X, Y, and Z.
yeah, because what happens then is you have a bunch of unnecessary surgeries. That's exactly what happens every time.
Surgery
I
or
can
stuff that you're doing that not won't be essential for your life and that will
yeah, or,
help you.
and you end up strengthening the wrong muscles because the therapist end up hitting big muscles when you really need your smaller posture muscles worked on because you're having problems sitting. But instead of helping you learn how to sit and learn how to self-correct and things like that, they have you work on your bigger muscles in your back, which aren't really the muscles that hold you up when you sit. They're the muscles that get you to the sitting position, but they're not the muscles that hold you up.
Basically, so let me go like this. Let me go a perfect example for me. When when it came down, when I my first time doing therapy in this whole in Norwich, Chicago, shout out to Ability Labs, great place. They got great therapy. Now, other sections I would say different, but the therapy A+. So I was learning the basics. I was learning how to sit, how to do this, how to use my how to it was a lot of how tos. When I got here to Ohio, they retested me, and basically, I love my therapist. Shout out to OSU Wexner, Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the Martha Morehouse therapy. Shout out to them. They and I like how they said we want to help. This therapy is to help you essentially. What are your goals? And your goals to we want to know your ABC goals. We want to make
I
sure
can tell
that
you exactly how many times I got that from a therapist.
we,
Zero.
we want to make sure that your ABC goals are met, and this is going to be essential to you getting better, you being more being independent or whatever what you want to do.
And this, and the reason I bring up things like posture is because my secondary condition, to get back to what this episode is actually about, my secondary condition happens to be scoliosis. And
What
what that is, for
that
layman's terms,
help
is
out.
just a curvature of the spine, and that comes from sitting all the time. It can and it happens mostly to people who sit in mobility mobility devices, excuse me, for elongated periods of time, aka wheelchairs or anything like that. Wheelchairs, scooters, whatever. It just comes from sitting forever. And it's something that most people in wheelchairs end up with, particularly people who are born and have to use a wheelchair.
Right. So let's go.
Because we don't necessarily develop the posture muscles to sit without the support of our chair. So scoliosis just happens.
So let's go back to the whole therapy thing. So, because I still want to get to the point, because while you don't like while you just said and point that I heard this from a therapist, and
Zero times. That's what I said.
right,
You said your therapist gave you uh, asked you what you wanted and they gave you an ABC list. You gave them the list and they worked on specifically those skills. I have never gotten that from a therapist. And the reason is our conditions are different.
exactly,
You you went to a therapist because you needed some help and you didn't have a choice. I went to a therapist because a doctor told my parents it would be a good idea. See, that's the difference. So
right.
then you have these therapists who don't really know what they're working with because they don't know what they're getting all the time.
So my question is, did you okay? Because I'm breaking down therapy, and I've been to enough therapy and love, and especially I'm gonna go with because both Shirley Ryan and Ohio State did this. So when you was going to therapy, and I got a, I'm gonna use the one boy that's me and his mom got close, and one boy he got multiple therapists, and we had the same OT therapist. He
Hmm.
I don't think he got cerebral palsy though. I don't I want shall I use him? Yeah, I'm gonna use him. I'm gonna use the other boy that I know that got cerebral palsy. 'Cause that's when I didn't know that they was coming from out of the state, from other states coming to Shirley Ryan. I didn't know that Shirley Ryan was that big. I'm gonna use him, but good example because it be in your case.
Okay.
So did they not test you? Do different tests when
Nope.
you go to therapy?
Nope.
Okay,
It
that was
was just the only thing I've ever gotten with when I went to a physical therapist. The closest thing I've ever gotten was they put me when I was younger. They used to do parallel bars, and they were like Let's see you walk on the parallel bars and see how far you can go, how long you can walk before you're tired, whatever. And then as I got older, then they asked me, let me see what you can do. And I said, what does that mean? What do you want me to do? You want me to sit here? Do you want me to jump to the moon? Like, what do you want me to do? It I have a very weird relationship with physical therapists
You got
because
therapy, period, because your therapy experience is, to me, see, that's when I say, and this, they need a more of an advocate, especially somebody like you. That's I've been okay. So I'm gonna go zip with the little boy. This little boy, he come from Tennessee. I did not know his dad was like, oh yeah, and he like, I'm from. I thought he was from Chicago because the way he was talking, but he like, no, I'm from Tennessee. My dad's up here now, and he stayed with me. Both from Tennessee. He has cerebral palsy too. He worked with he worked not only with physical therapists. We both had the same OT therapist, occupational therapist. So for those who don't know about therapy, physical therapists are working on physical stuff like you transferring, you
physical therapists work with your body, and occupational therapists work so that you can function in the workplace. So
well,
you
no,
get
it's not in the workplace. It's
it's
basically
not just the workplace, but that's the
your ADLs mean your daily
yeah
life,
your daily activities, the things you would do at home, cooking,
and they do
cleaning, making your bed, that sort of stuff. But you can also get them to do workplace work, like if you want to learn how to type or something like that.
So he had, like I said, now breaking down that the fact that he had tests with two therapists, and those two therapists worked on what he needed to do, essentially go back home and be more independent. So my thing with you is, your doctor did well. First of all, I don't know who your therapy was, and I'm mad at them. But the fact that they didn't ask you what was it, did you want to work, what do you want in your life, to essentially in your life that we gonna work on. So
I've never gotten that, and it's because I've been having therapy since I was a kid, and so when you are a child, they assume that your parents are there because your parents know what's going on, but your parents just listen to doctors. Your parents have no idea what's going on with their kid
right,
because your parent is going to tell you that they do and they understand, but they don't,
right,
and they never will
right. But
because
you should
you
be,
have two legs.
but at the age you should, but at like this goes back to
Yeah, there's a certain age where
age that you should advocate for yourself. Like, okay,
there's a
my mom
certain age
and
where
dad
you
only
just
know
gotta
so
stop, and that's the age where I stopped going
God,
because I realized that I had all the physical skills that I needed because I had learned to adapt to my body over time. And when we're talking about adaptation, you have to adapt to more than your disability itself because every disability, whether anybody tells you this or not, is going to come with secondary conditions, like I mentioned, scoliosis.
yes. And then with my secondary condition, because I stopped therapy, and I'm gonna go back, that the fact that I had HO, and HO is hepatitis ossification. Basically, bone is growing in your muscles. So I was going to therapy. I had to stop therapy because my left leg was getting, like, my thigh was getting extra big. I don't have, on another conversation we will refer back to. Matter of fact, it'll be the live show. I will actually show you X-rays of, you can see the extra bone. You can see the extra bone. It started growing in Chicago, but it really started rapidly going here in Ohio, where I had to have surgery for them to take out that bone so I could bend my leg, be able to sit up. Because before that happened, therapy did help me sit up. Therapy was helping me be independent like I want to, and not having the help like I'm having now.
For me personally, with scoliosis, is more of it's more of a thing that I work around rather than a disability within itself because technically everyone has some degree of scoliosis. That's why your spine can bend. Um, Everyone has some degree of it. It's just the worse the curve, the worse it is for your organs um, inside. But it causes pain. Sitting for long periods of time is not a good idea because my posture muscles don't like to do a lot of work, so I have to sit for elongated periods of time just as exercise. Just literally just sitting on the edge of my bed watching TV. I pick a spot on the wall and I stare at it for 15, 20 minutes at a time. And then I lay down and sit up and do it again. Uh, and I make sure that and I make sure that I do that until my back is too tired for me to sit up again, or I sit until I fall. And this is how you learn to adjust to your secondary conditions. Like Quincy said, his secondary condition required him to have surgery. So there's really no adjusting to that. That's something you have to get fixed.
But that right. So then I didn't go explain more about HO. HO, I had radiation on top of that, so they said to stop the HO because my HO grew so much. But with HO, it is a condition that I can adapt to with, like Romeo said, I have to adapt to, because there's been people that my mentor, he has HO, and he says when he transferred that, he just hear a pop in his bone. I said I never got a pop. I never had a pop in his bone.
You never had
He
that
adapted.
experience?
He adapted, and I gotta write him. Thank you for us talking about this. I gotta write him and tell him the surgery and fall and everything else. But he adapted to his, like Romeo adapted to his scoliosis. He adapted with HO. There's a girl I met the first time I went to OSU. She got HO. She was talking about it. She was explaining to me a little more about it, and she was like, "I got it too in my arm, but I'm adapted." But she adapting around it and adapting
Yeah.
to it.
Yes. Secondary conditions are all about using them to your advantage, honestly. Because because I don't sit well, because I don't sit well when I do um jujitsu, and I don't need to sit, my abdominal muscles don't have to hold me up. So I can, because I have fallen so much, I can make myself fall into fall into positions that are advantageous to me as I grapple. Um, so you can use these conditions to your advantage if you learn how they work and how they affect your body.
Yes, that's why it is important, people. If you take anything from this conversation, first of all, the first thing we want to take is be your own advocate, because like with Romeo's sense of him not going to therapy, him going to therapy and him not, and they're not moving him in the direction of now he's a self person, he's a self starter of, okay, I know my therapy and all that, because I believe that therapy will do him good. This is to help. If he told a therapist, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z because this is gonna be a situation in my life, and I know you're here to help me, and this was that. You have to
I
be
told a therapist
that.
that exactly one time, and she told me, and I quote, "You're not going to be here long enough for that."
Well, that's all in insurance, but still, them like
No,
them people right there get my nurses in the healthcare field.
no, that's on her because she could have said, "You're not going to be here long enough for that, but I can give you exercises to work on that when you go home."
Right, but
She
that's,
didn't do
as
that.
a healthcare worker, a healthcare person, you never you. First of all, and a lot of the healthcare and for and the house company used to work up to the best, and even the nursing home company said the best. My job is to help you maintain the health you at, or get you better. And getting you better is still involved in your life. So if you tell me X, Y, and Z, and and I know that your insurance is not paying for, because I used to only do an hour of therapy every time I see my therapist is only for an hour. They gave me stuff to work on the home, like you said, like, oh, since you're gonna be here for this time period, here's stuff that you can work out at home, and then whatever you work out at home, we can incorporate in your therapy now. I mean, what we doing now in your therapy, and also I'm gonna show stuff that you can do at home.
Exactly.
They should,
Because
they
then
said that.
if you do the exercises they give you at home, when you go back, they have stuff to build on. But there's been a lot of therapy sessions where I got nothing. I got exercises that were not pertinent to the muscles that I wanted to work on, or I didn't get exercises at all. So,
But like I said, so let's go. Like I said, be learning about your health and being an advocate about your health. That's another strong thing, because like Romeo said, the doctors are going to speak one way, the therapist is going to speak one way, especially parents. As a child, you need to have your child. I'm talking parents. I'm talking to you out there that are listening. Children out there that are young, please learn about your. Please, I'm saying this conversation take away. Please learn about your condition, because your condition, like, and then like even the second condition that the secondary condition too. Learn about your body, learn about your condition, because the doctor, as a healthcare worker, you got to tell me about your body, because I only know about your body when you come, especially, okay, I'm gonna give you an example. Prime example, when I work at Dallas Clinic, you come in a fluid overload, and I'm trying to pull as much fluid as possible on that, but you know that you cannot take this much off doing treatment, because you gonna pass out, you gonna do X, Y, and Z or on the machine. So you gotta tell me and the nurse, like, hey, I only can take off this much. Now I know that you only can take off this much. I'm gonna ask you this one I'm incorporating in your life. I'm gonna ask you, girl or man, you know you only can take off 2.5 liters, and you came in over your driveway by 4 liters. And you know that I only taking off half of that, and you know that you want to eat and drink, and you want to come back once again. The half I did take off is going to be added again, and you still got to add it that I didn't take off this treatment.
you
Make sure that you
the
are
most important
part
thing
of
you
the
need to
conversation.
learn, the most important thing you need to learn about your body, regardless of whether you're disabled or not, is how to use it.
Yes,
And, and that and that requires learning to work around conditions. There have been days
it's not working
where
right.
I didn't want to go to the gym because I couldn't sit up. But you know what? I love jujitsu enough to get in that car, and, and when I got in that car, I took a nap because I knew I couldn't sit up because my back hurt that much. But I knew that once I got on that mat, I wouldn't feel it anymore. So I went and I trained because I'm gonna be honest, jujitsu is the best physical therapy I've ever had. It's better than whatever they were trying to do in hospitals and everything. And it gave me a reason to do the exercises that they were giving me because it was functional work and I could see it work.
Well, see, that's what they're.
That is the key.
Well,
Make
that
sure
became with therapy.
make sure that you are doing functional work and make sure it's work that you can actually use.
Was
You,
That's what
if,
your athletics was. You used that as therapy for therapy, and it was
yes,
functioning. But also, you
yes,
should be a
my athletics was my therapy, exactly.
but when it comes to your health, period, and this is for anybody able, disabled, whatever. You should be a part of the conversation in your health, and you should tell the healthcare worker. Have you heard about Anchor? Well, let me tell you about Anchor. Anchor is an app where you can make podcasts. It's easy to use and it's free. It has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast to Spotify and Apple. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum relationship. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. About yourself because like I gave an example about dialysis. You telling me if you're not telling me that I can pull off this much in a day and I'm gonna pull off like I know that you over the 4 liters. I'm gonna pull up the 4 liters for that day, and you know that your body cannot do that. Your heart going to be pumping. That you gonna pass out. You supposed to tell me. Be essential in
Yes.
that and telling folks because you're not telling folks, especially healthcare. Like Romeo said, the doctor's gonna do what the doctor gonna do. The therapist say, "Hey, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z," and only
You
X, Y, and Z.
are you are a person, not a guinea pig.
Yes.
You are not a lab rat. So tell them what's going on. And if they don't believe you, if they don't believe you and they kick you out because this had happened, this is what you do. You take whatever happens to you and you write it down, either in a notebook or a computer log, and you print it or whatever. And the next time you go to the doctor, you just hand it to them. Make sure you have dates of everything, where your pain is, what symptoms you have, dates, times, how long X symptom lasts, whatever. Because they don't like to listen to us. And they say, oh, your back hurts because you sit too much. And it's like, no, this is different pain. And they're like, you just sit in your wheelchair too much. Get out of your wheelchair and do stuff. And it's like, no,
Right, and you
that's not what this is. I'm telling you, this is different back pain. I'm in back pain every day, but this is not the same. There's something wrong.
And
And
if
they
your
will,
doctor, if you tell your doctor and you supposed to tell your doctor you have back pain, and he not give you like a for example for me, I've been having my neurologist for my nerves. I told him a minute ago when I seen him, I said, you know what, my right arm is really fatigued, like hurting more. I'm getting more pain, this and that. He said, okay, we're gonna do a test. We're gonna do a test called EMG. I don't know what EMG stands for, but I can tell you what the test is. Basically, the test is going to you want electric shock from how your brain does to your body. Tell your body, that, hey, I need you to blink your eyes north back to your nerves. We're gonna see what the nerves do. What that shock do with the nerves, and we're gonna see how it do. So when I got that test, and when it was shocking me, first of all, let me tell you that test is very scary. That test had me in pain for like 2 days. I didn't want to do absolutely nothing. I was talking shit to everybody. I said, this is some bullshit. I don't know what the doctor was doing. Oh my goodness. It took a minute because I had to reschedule and have to make sure they were on schedule, COVID. Um,
yeah, man,
that test
go.
did show, but the test did show the doctor it's more dealing with my spine than that was what it's more so dealing with the healing of my spine than the nerves. It was like this stuff was like, no, this right here is this your T whatever telling me and that was like no, he's not considered me. I see why when he explained to me why he was T1 and two this right there, but it won't be that he is C8. He is definitely C8. He's that case where it's his spine. You might have to have another test like this on his spine, but
Mhm.
in a different setting. But we gonna go to the neurologist. The neurologist gonna go from there. We go if you can get another test, whatever, or change the medication. The doctor need to do some other. If you supposed to the doctor you have back pain and he not doing no extra tests for you and all that, go to another doctor. Go first of all, go to another facility. Shop
Yeah,
around.
yeah. You have to move because that doctor who's not helping you is he doesn't have the resources. Here's the thing: there's a reason doctors have specialties because they don't know everything.
No, sure
They
not.
they don't. just because someone has a medical degree, doesn't mean they know something.
So no, that's why they go to these different. That's why we have these. I'm a healthcare worker now. Speaking for the healthcare worker and being and when I with everybody working, we got these different conferences. We got all this because we are trying to get information. Like this person, we might be dealing with the. You might have something at your clinic that I don't do at my clinic, and you give me information like, well, I have a patient that blah say this, blah say that. Oh, for real? Oh, I might one day get a patient in my clinic. Well, when I was working, I'm not working now, but when I was working, get a patient like the patient that you did subscribe to me at the conference. I know how to deal with that patient. I'm telling you, like, hey, I was especially I was a representative for my clinic because my clinic, the first clinic I worked at was a clinic that was in a nursing home, and we got to deal with big patients and trach patients. These standalone clinics never dealt with a patient that had a trach. They always had to go. They tell them go to a hospital, and I always go to the conference with the hospital, asking them about bedside manner. Or they asking me like, "Well, you work in a nursing home and you got these patients. So how is the bedside? How you do bedside manner? How you do this? How you do that?" We were trading information where it made my job a lot easier because they talk about patients that they get, and we talk about patients how we get and what they do. Then when we especially went to the site when we get the site patient, they really the hospitals and everybody would come in the zero clinic be like, oh, so this is how you deal with that type of patient. Or okay, if you go to this is how you okay. So we get information. We don't know. You have
Yeah,
you really have to know that information and research.
doctors are not as educated as you think they are.
But sure not. So
So you have to be an advocate and a participant in your own medical care. You cannot be a guinea pig. Just because a doctor says something, don't say, okay, let's do it. And that's not how it works.
yes,
It's going to take you a long time to fix whatever the problem is if that's what you do.
right. And then make sure that it's essential to your life. It's essential to your life also because this is your life, and the doctors can't live your life, and
Yeah,
no one else lives your life, and
nobody else is living it. So you have to make sure it's set up and you have to make sure it's correct.
because when it comes to this health, and then people know about your health, like Romeo said, the doctor will go A, B, and C. As parents, I'm talking to you. At some point of your child being disabled or having a disability, you need to start teaching your child about their condition because you're not gonna always be there to advocate, especially you already heard the experience how Romeo had experienced how his parents were doing therapy and how therapy is to me is very essential. And like Romeo said, I started doing athletics, and the athletics was teaching me more therapy stuff to help in my regular life than what actually therapy doing. I'm on the opposite of here. Therapy has helped me because I told them I want to do I could do A, B, and C, and the A, B, and C part was essential things to help me progress in my life to be more independent.
That is true. There is a reason doctors look for zebras when there are zebras. Sometimes you should look for the lion, and a lot of doctors don't do that. So
No, and then especially
don't be the guinea pig.
no, especially so let me tell you about getting pig also. Um, luckily my doctor, my son doctor, I went to do cancer and the bone and do all that and all that, and luckily yeah he proficient. So they was gonna send me to a doctor was kind of a guinea pig, and well no, let's go with the whole HO thing. So the first doctor I went to was a sports medicine doctor that deal with the bones. I for, I forgot
Mm.
what title.
Would there not be an orthopedist?
No, there we go. Thank you, orthopedist. Thank you. He was an orthopedist. He looked at my X-rays and was telling. He's like, "Well, there is a medicine you can take, blah blah blah, but your ACL is like progressively growing more, and it's like I'm gonna get you go to a cancer doctor." I said, "Cancer?" I was like, "This is type of cancer?" He's like, "No, it's not a type of cancer, but he has dealt with this before because it's in the realm of that." So
Mm.
talking to the doctor, talk to the doctor. He referred me to this next doctor, which he's the orthopedist, but he did more in the cancer area. And I'm like, oh my god! First of all, I looked at him. I said, "Do I got cancer?" He said, "No, you got cancer. This is always a secondary condition that comes with spinal cord. It happens in black males. It happens in young black males, especially that's below 30. It happens. I was 20. I was 30 when my HO started growing. My HO started producing. He told me, he was like, with HO, we can cut the bone out, but that it can grow back. We can do radiations for it's not the spray at the spray your leg, but it can spread again. We don't know, but we can take different medicine, and you want to adapt to this. Under,
So,
understand the
okay. My question to you is, if it does grow back, because you said it can,
yeah.
do you have a plan of what to do when and if that happens?
Yep, I take med. I'm taking already taking ibuprofen. I think it's going back now. I take ibuprofen and make sure I get range of. I can't do range of motion myself with my legs, so have somebody do some range of motion with my legs, bend them in and out to make sure, and like me setting up for a time period to see what the comfortability, see sensations. Because when it started growing, I started having a little bit more sensation, like in my legs and feet. Talking about there's something wrong. I can't sit up for a long period of time because I felt like I was getting pushed back. My right leg, like right now, I'm dealing with the pain of my right arm and leg. Like my right leg having sensation of pain, like it's like hurting. And I've been getting moves, I've been getting that, and I've been sitting up like today. I'm sitting up. I ain't at
Mm.
a I'm gonna say I'm at 40. I ain't gonna add 90. I'm at 45 degrees sitting up, and it's bothered. But knowing that it's going back, I'm doing stuff to prevent it. If I got to have the surgery again, I'll have to have it. But I want to do the X-rays. I want to make
Yes,
sure I do the X-rays to make sure that progress is going like it did the first time on me.
okay. And see, that's very important. He has a plan, and he knows what to do, and he's trying to prevent this situation.
Knowing that, like you said, this is a secondary condition, knowing that I'm not like Romeo. Romeo adapting to the fact that scoliosis is a thing, and I don't want, especially with scoliosis, they do consider that a disability. Because I know a little boy used to have to wear a back brace. Now he don't have to wear a back brace no more, but he had to go to he used to have to wear a back for his scoliosis. You don't want to have, as they say in the medical word, have two conditions. You this, and you also got this, and they try to combine them as one. Where the secondary condition, you want to make that adapt to the first condition that you got already, and you want to adapt to that.
Yeah, because the secondary condition is the condition that the doctors don't care about.
No,
They don't care about your hip pain or your back pain or the fact that your arm is numb or anything like that. They care about the big thing that's on the paper: spastic cerebral palsy, quadriplegic. They care about the big word. But the thing that really affects your life is the little stuff that comes with it. And that's why we're talking about this today, because these are the things you have to tell people about
yeah,
because they're not going to pay attention to them.
if they don't pay attention and talk about paying attention, if they don't pay attention to this, you need to, because just like the HO, like the doctor said, if this wasn't affecting my life for real, they said that would let it went on. But it was affecting my life, and that's why they went on and said, okay, this is affecting the primary condition, which is spinal cord, and this is affecting your life. So we're gonna do something about this.
Exactly.
So I got this. That's why I got the surgery. That's why I got the test for my nerves, because it is affecting my primary goal. My primary goal is to be as independent as I possibly can. That's my primary goal in my life because right now I do count on help, especially when it comes to dressing. When it comes to dressing and different, when it comes to dressing my lower body, yes, I need help. When it comes to now using now when it comes to using the maximum of that, I supposed to cap every 4 hours. Do I do it? No. Have I started about capping? Yes and no. Because every time I cast, I'm happy this is the help episode. Every time I cast, my body tends to know that I'm about to stick a foreign object down my penis, even though I can't feel it like that. I feel like sensation. I can't feel it. It just want to start going, and I'll be mad as hell.
Well,
It's the bull shit.
that is part of the, our conditions, and we talk about them here. So there's
They,
no embarrassment with that, and it's just part of what it is.
oh, I ain't gonna be no embarrassment. Like I tell people all the time, baby. Let me tell y'all, Huggy, if you listening, Johnson Johnson, everybody, adult, please adult, a team maker. Like I say, what is it?
And
You're
this is why
kindness.
this podcast is for everyone because nothing is off limits here.
Hell no. So adult tin maker, Johnson Johnson, everybody that make adult tins. Rihanna, I hope you're hearing this too. Beyonce, whoever make fashion, please make some fashion for us.
I
And,
don't think that's gonna happen. That's
anyway,
very wishful thinking. I
anyway,
don't think that's gonna happen.
anyways, that's why you speak out. Please make an adult product for people like myself that don't
That
have
is true.
function,
You are right. That
sex.
is why you speak out. Maybe they will hear this and do something.
Pence, excuse me. I'm called what's that woman's name? I'm Harris, you're a Pence. Pence, when it's your turn, you can speak. I'm they here to speak because I'm gonna make sure.
Oh, really? So now I'm Mike Pence. That's how you feel. Cool. I'll show you when you're Mike Pence.
Oh, I know you will.
No, I'm gonna let you have this one. But
I
we'll
know.
see.
Hold on. This is number 2, right? Okay. This is make sure that since you want to say, I'm gonna let you have this one. Let's keep score. Let's keep score. Pence.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but for on the real note, you people, I'm gonna need y'all to make for the people that do fashion. This is I'm picking fashion for Rihanna, Victoria's Secret. People that do underwear, please look out for the disabled people because there's like me. I don't have functions on my bowel and bladder, but I want to wear something sexy. I can do something protective. Johnson Johnson. Johnson Johnson, I know that you make adult tens. I know Pimper, I think it's in the Johnson Johnson company. People that make adult tens an adult diaper. You should not be scared to say that you wear a diaper. People wear diapers are just like underwear. It's a utility that you don't wear your outer clothes because you don't want to walk around with a big old pee stain in
That
public.
is true. That is true.
You don't want to walk around with a big old pee stain in public or that you didn't poop and the poop was sitting in your drawers. I mean, you don't want to do that.
You mean what you said? Yeah.
You don't want to do that. So, like I say, don't be ashamed to tell a person that I do wear these incontinent products because I am incontinent, and people don't know what incontinent means. That means loss of control. Loss of control. I don't have control when I go pee, and I don't have control when I use the restroom. Now, on the other hand, Romeo,
I have complete control of that. So
and with that being said, that my incontinence. So I said captain already. The captain is that. Then I'm supposed to do a suppository once a day. The poop to be on the schedule. Do I do the suppository? Yes and no. I do it sometimes when I think I'm really compacted, but I do take pills like Cena for that so I can go poop. I do take Ducalax, but I only take it after when I count like you're supposed to go to the restroom at least every 3 days that you're supposed to have a shit. That's for anybody that's able body or
that's for any human.
supposed to have a shit. every 2 days. You can
Yes.
make it to a 4th day sometimes, don't push it. But a 3rd day, if you didn't have a bowel movement, you need to take some type of laxative. Some,
Yeah, then you might have a problem.
some Ducalox. So I take when let me see what I take. I take Ducalox. I take the Cena. I take the pill form. I drink a citrate. It's basically a saline laxative. While I drink it, it got a little flavor to it, but it pushes me to go to the restroom. But I don't. I do it. Like I said, the 2nd day when I don't. When they say when I come, I go. Oh, I have a bad movement. They haven't said, "Oh, Quincy, you pooped today," or like today I pooped. So I don't. So I know that I pooped yesterday. Matter of fact, yesterday I pooped. So I won't. If today I don't poop, and tomorrow I don't do nothing. That's when I start my bowel regimen. So what about your regimen? If you since you do have continence in your bowel, well, hold on.
I
So
don't I don't have a regimen. My body just works.
so
And
you,
that's
so you can't
and
both your bowels and bladder.
yes, I have complete control. So I don't have a regimen. My body tells me when I need to go and I go.
So talking about that, you go because I can go. I use it then, but I actually got a porter with a best I can mug where I can slide over and use it and do all that. Only reason I have not done it because I had to have surgery on my left arm because when I did get shot, my left arm did go necrotic, but they put a artery stent in my arm so the blood flow from my heart to my arm and have that circulation. The stent is going bad
They
because
saved his arm.
yes, it's in my arm. The
Yeah.
stent is going bad, and I'm having the same pain that I'm having on my right side. It's happening to my left side, and the left side, my arm does to peek out a little more than right. But now it's going to both, so I know that it's time. Once I know the stent get fixed and the left side, I'll be back having my right side doing what it was doing normally before my step was going bad because my left arm really wasn't having the pain. I could work more. I could do a lot more a lot more stuff. I would say everybody stuff. I could do a lot more stuff with my arm.
He can function better.
Yeah,
That's what this entire podcast is all about. Helping people learn how to function as people with disabilities from people with disabilities, not from necessarily doctors. Because a lot of times when a doctor tells you something, it's because they got it from a book or they have limited experience with patients like you. Because I will tell you this, I have been to many doctors in my lifetime, and every one of them has said, "You're one of the highest functioning cerebral palsy patients I've ever seen." And it's like, what does that even mean?
that means hold on. Him telling you that means he never encountered a patient like yourself that as just as independent. You close to independent as you almost at everybody person.
That
You have normalized your disability to be able to do everybody thing. He
and
never
that's because I learned how to use my disability to my advantage.
right, and but he never seen nobody the person he came by their what's the word I'm looking for? You just said it. Come on, Ron. What's the word I'm looking for?
The word you're looking for,
Is the fact that you have more function than what he's been seeing. There are more function than what he's been seeing.
it's not even that I have more function necessarily, it's that I have adapted better. And I think that's because I've been disabled for so long. Because, and like I said, there are levels to cerebral palsy. A lot of people have really bad cerebral palsy and can't feed themselves and things like that. But my level is particularly low, so I can function. And I think doctors, especially, uh, see cerebral palsy in a book, and they watch these videos in school, and you got these kids who are walking with a limp, and they can like barely talk, and those who some don't walk, and those who do walk, like I said, they walk with a limp, or they walk with like a very weird gait and a shaky balance, and it's like everybody's not like that.
Right,
Everybody with a disability is different, and that's why you have two different hosts on this show with two different disabilities.
right. And also, in this help episode, I know that we are doing physical disability, but mental disability comes
The
in
mental disabilities do exist, and they will be covered in the future. Excuse me.
in future conversation. Yeah, because right now I know we'll be referring back to the episode because there are people with mental health disabilities where health still come into the play of being having a mental health disability, aka having like bipolar or ADHD.
Bipolar, depression, all that stuff.
We are going to talk to
Autism.
yes, we gonna talk to somebody who have guests on the show that deal with the mental part, so we can learn also because I don't know, especially when it comes down to the health part, like telling doctors, okay, I got depression. I know they're gonna put me on pills. I know you're gonna talk to a therapist, but
Yeah.
how do that play in your like in your health
How
and
do
your
you
mental health
deal
like
with
it's
depression?
all
That's something we're going to learn together.
yes. So this don't think that of this book out there. This don't think that we only talking about the physical part. We are talking about the mental part. Talking about
Because I have experienced depression myself for very brief periods of time throughout my life, and I dealt with it in a very specific way. But other people deal with it in a different way. So we're going to learn how other people deal with their mental disabilities, be that depression, bipolar, autism, whatever it is. We're going to learn how they adapt because this show is about how you adapt to your disability to make your life better and how to teach the people around you how to treat
yes, we
you.
are basically making disability. We try to normalize disability. We don't want.
We are your voice.
Yes, we don't want. We don't want. We don't want to. We want everybody person to look at you as you. Everybody too. They know that you have a disability, but we try to normalize that like possible. Just like example when Romeo said the doctor said to him, "Oh my goodness, function, they're a high function." I never seen a high function person with cerebral palsy like yourself. That's them telling me that everybody that he sees that got cerebral palsy, because he is cerebral palsy kind of doctor, that their function is low. It's not as high as Romeo. Just like therapists will say, I didn't hear therapists say that.
Yeah, it's
I didn't. It's been telling people. So we are making sure that we voice to normalize it and to talk about it so you can have a voice to say, hey, I want you to listen to this, and then they'll open a dialogue for your doctors, whoever, to say, okay, we got you. So talking about disabilities. So I found something on the internet. Shout outs to two people. You follow them on Instagram. There is a Instagram page called Black Disabled Lives Matter. We are two African American males on here. So of course our lives matter too when it comes to being disabled and health wise.
and all links will be in the description
Yes, on Facebook,
on YouTube.
on YouTube. Thank you. But shout outs to them, Black Disabled Lives Matter. They're on Instagram, and another woman that I hopefully that she will be on the show. Her Instagram is Disabled Insight. I mean, not Disabled Insight. My bad. Disability Insight. Her link will be in the description too. In the description too. Go check her out because she do explains about disabilities and that. I want her on the show because this gonna be that would be a great time to talk about her and talking to two people that are in two different stages of being disabled. But do she do lots of stuff that is great to open a conversation just like now. So I want to go what she said about models of disability, medical and social. Model of disability is something we use to understand the treatment and experience of the disabled community and improve on them. There are many models of disability, but the two most popular and reflected upon are the social model and the medical model. The social model,
And then she goes on to list the pros and cons, which we'll talk about now.
the social model of the disability claims that the disability exists by socially by socially barriers and not by physical impairment or difference. The medical model of disability claims that disability is evident in physical impairment of difference. Examples of social and motor impairment: lack of access into building is disabling, creating a ramp so wheelchair users can be included within their community. Example of a medical model of disability: my needs for assistance to access to disability is disabling. Create a cure, create a cure with no need for wheelchairs or ramps. The social model wants to eliminate accessibility and barriers and increase inclusion. The medical model wants to eliminate body expectation aspects that
We'll be right back.
require accessibility and preventing inclusion. The social model of the disability is typical, favored, and more ideal. However, the medical model has more positive attributes like being scientific based.
The issue with the medical model is that it wants to eradicate disability altogether, and that's not possible.
So, okay, so they got some pros and cons. Now, here's some pros and cons of the social and pros and cons of the model. So, we'll go through the social first: independence, society's responsibility, acceptance, accommodations, neglecting chronic psychiatrical and conditions, which since we talk about medical, more so medical. We'll talk about that in a different conversation. We're gonna keep this in mind. But the medical pros and cons are biological based, offers treatment, disability is wrong, disability equals helplessness.
And that is exactly what I said. The medical model wants to eradicate disability altogether, but that's just not possible because things happen.
It's
Car accidents happen. You got shot. You know, I, I had an experience at birth. Things happen. So this will never go away. It's not, there's not going to be a magic pill that fixes this, which is why you need to be your own advocate and make your life the way you need it to be so that you can function.
yes. Certainly, yes, certainly that I agree with that. But also in the medical model, there is a pro to this because what there's always what I always go with. What if there is a cure? What if there is something that can help you be back an able-bodied person? What if they find like a stem cells? But you know what?
So,
You get these stem cells in you, and your body attaches and adapts to this, and you're able to.
so what you're saying is the question you're posing is, what if there is one cure for every disability?
I'm saying there's something that can help you be back normalized where it's not in the physical sense, like I mean the physical sense. I do some type of stem cells, or there's something that I can inject in your spine where your spine and your body will adapt and go to this, and your brain will say, okay, your leg, Quincy, tell your legs to get up and walk or move your legs. I can move my legs. There's something that can help me be back to
Okay, but my
normalized.
point is, my point is, that's not necessarily going to work for every disability that exists.
True.
So,
But what if there is something that can work for, I mean, some disability that can work for it can work for that can help a person be back able-bodied.
If there was ever a cure, right? And when I was little, I used to always want there to be a cure because I hated having cerebral palsy. I wrote papers on this in elementary school. The teacher used to ask me, if you could have any one wish, if you had $10 million, if you had whatever, what would you wish for? And I would say, uh, cure to cerebral palsy. Now, as an adult, I would never say that because I've had it for so long, and it has become part of my life, and I adapted to it. So now I would never say that because I understand what it is. I'm not worried about why I have it and why it happened to me. I don't have a pity party. I'm over that. That was the 10-year-old me. I'm 30 now. I'm over that. So now, if I had $10 million, I'd start businesses and pay my bills. That would be the answer I would give to the teacher. It wouldn't be, I want a cure for cerebral palsy. I don't need a cure. I'm well adapted.
Right,
So,
right. You better,
so
but you got to go to. I'm being a double advocate. If there was something, I'm gonna use myself because I'm still only being a year. It had to be. It's gonna be a year from me. If
yeah.
there was something out there that can help me be back normalized, be normalized, but I can be back everybody and do what I work like I used to work and do stuff I used to do. Of course, but right
Um,
here, I'm not saying that eradicate this. I know this is not that this is not for all disability that you can eradicate this, but if you can help, but if this is going to help my disability and not make my disability a disability no more,
and I'm not saying that if you choose to take the magic pill or whatever because you don't want to be disabled, you're a bad person, right? If you want to do that, that's on you. That's your choice. But realize you are now living a life that you don't necessarily know what it is. Okay? In Quincy's case, he knows what it is because he didn't have a choice in I shouldn't say he didn't have a choice. Nobody has a choice of becoming disabled. He didn't he wasn't born with his disability. He didn't adapt to it when he was young. He's not like me in the sense that he grew with it and he understands it. So it's sort of part of him. He he didn't get that experience. That's the experience that I have. So for him to say I would take the magic pill so I can walk again, that makes perfect sense. But for me, taking that pill, I'd be in a totally different world. I don't now I have to now I have to walk, and now I have to drive, my car, drive a car differently. That's a different thing. I would have to learn everything all over again. So it's two different experiences, and neither answer to that question is wrong. So that's not what we're trying to do here. We're just giving you two different scenarios.
yes,
You are not evil if you choose to take the pill
you're not
that makes your disability go away. That does not mean you hate disabled people. It just means your experience with your disability is different.
right. It's about I'm so adapt like he said. Now that it's been a year, I rather adapt. I'm with him. If you ask me, if you had $10,000, what would you do with it? Maybe I'll there's some vacations I want to do. Go to a strip club. There's some business I want to invest. The businesses. The money would be well spent. Trust me, money would be well spent. Well spent. Like really well spent. Well spent. It wasn't
Well
like to be. It
spent
wasn't
is
like
what he means, people. Sometimes Quincy talks too fast,
oh, I'm
so
sorry. Okay, for those let me slow down. Like Romeo said, he was spent about
well
$1,000.
spent, yes. We would both spend our money very wisely and never need to work again.
Me now being disabled, I am learning the big word of adapting. I've always been a chameleon, but
Adapting is the key to life.
I always been the chameleon anyway, to I can adapt. Like especially going from physical, especially in healthcare. The healthcare field has really put that in my journey that I had to. When I was taking care of different people, I had to adapt to their needs, and then different set. Then when I went from one floor being all men and them being all timers, then the all timers floor, and then when I went down to the vent and trach floor, the vent hold on, let me call it vent, bariatric, and wound care floor, I had to adapt and learn about the patients and how to take care of them and what to do and how to do. So in this, I'm learning how to adapt and make this normal and make this normalized.
Yes, because whether you know it or not, when something happens to you, that just becomes your new normal. That's why I always tell people, normal doesn't exist. And this is especially important for young people. If somebody tells you you're weird or you're not normal or whatever, they're lying to you because normal is not a thing. It literally does not exist.
Oh, that makes
No,
sense on the quote. Go ahead. I'm sorry, it's a quote.
normal is a construct that was created by humans to describe things that were common. Normal is a word people use to put you in a box. So therefore, if you have a disability, by default, you are not normal. But that doesn't mean anything because normal doesn't exist.
Yes.
So don't ever let anybody tell you you're weird or you're too different or anything like that because they don't know your life. They don't know why you're disabled. They don't know what happened or how it happened. So because they don't know your experience, don't let them devalue you. And even if they do know your experience, don't let them devalue you as a person because your experience is yours, not theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't call you lazy if they don't know that you're in pain every day and how you deal with it. If you choose to sleep during the day because that's the only time you're not in pain, and you take medication when you wake up after dark because for whatever reason, when the sun is not out, your pain is less because there's less heat or whatever, then that's fine.
Mm-hmm. That is your way. That is your way.
That is how you make your life work for you.
Mm-hmm.
You can become a 911 operator. People are like, you can't get a job if you're up at night because nobody works at night. That's false.
Right. Until
Nobody in a wheelchair works at night. That's absolutely false. You can become a 911 operator and work at night, work the night shift. That's fine. The way you adapt to your disability is for you and it's for your experience. No one can devalue that.
yes, no one can value that. So the quote when you talk about there's nothing normal, there's a quote that popped up to me that just sounds on my phone. What is normal to the fly is chaos to what normal to the spider is chaos to the fly. So what's
That
normal?
is very true.
I
It's
was
very true.
I'm sorry, I
There's,
was doing this right off my head. It wasn't verbatim. I never find the quote verbatim, but what's normal to the spider is chaos to the fly.
there's a reason flies panic when they get caught in that web. There's a reason.
Do, do, do. I'm going to find it, but yes. So it's still on the health thing and all that. So, what can you do? So since you are, so tell me stuff that you can do by yourself. Like you don't absolutely need no help.
That would be false.
I'm talking
Do
about
do I absolutely need no help for
no.
what?
I'm talking about stuff that you can do independent by yourself without saying that you need some assistance.
Uh, I can dress myself. What else? Of course, I push myself around. Of course, I do my own transfers. The only thing I cannot do that would require something in daily living is driving. And that's just because I never took the time to learn.
Well, that's like you said. I took the time to learn. So, can you transfer yourself
Transfer myself to where? From where?
from transfer this period from the bed to the chair
Oh,
to
yeah.
from the floor to this transfer period? Can you?
Yeah.
Okay,
I,
I know
I
that you.
can transfer.
So I know that you got animals.
Therapists, therapists would call my transfers janky and bad, but they work. They happen.
That
So, again, that's your experience. Nobody can tell you your transfer
right.
is bad. As long as you're not injuring yourself and
Yes.
as long as you're not damaging your wheelchair, your transfer is fine.
Alone that you are, like you said, alone that you are being safe with your transfer and transfer work for you that is safe there. You're not getting hurt and all that. That's a transfers. I never knew I know therapists would say, you know what, you can do this. I'm gonna show you a different way to transfer, but if this has been working for you and you're not hurt, keep on doing what you do. I have seen that. Um, so I know that you got animals.
Animals, yes.
So let's go with chores. So if are you able to take out the trash?
Yes,
That's
I could. If if that has more to do with my house than me. We'll be back after these messages.
Then click on the subscribe button and make sure you don't miss anything.
Before we start this video, make sure y'all like, comment, and share, and also subscribe.
Because my house is not designed for those sorts of things, I don't do those things. I have people in my home do those things, but it's very possible for me to do that, yes.
that's another conversation of accessibility.
Accessibility is something that um, needs to be needs to be addressed in its own episode because it's a very large system
Yes.
of inequality.
Okay. So you can
I'll call it.
so we go on chores wise. So what if you were able to if you are you able to wash dishes? If your house was simple, are you able to wash dishes?
Yes, I can wash dishes.
Take a try to wash dishes. Okay,
You turn on water and put the soap in the sink, and it's like, or or you just put the dishes in the dishwasher. That's what you do.
right. Okay, so we
Who
know.
actually likes washing dishes? But
Look, I'm just saying because people will say, well, he just only said the dressing. And we are breaking down. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
you
know because
got
people like to get details on people's lives and things like that. It's such a waste.
since we trying to be, we are pushing on representation part and representative. We do have to speak in detail. Like, okay, this is I can do A, B, and C. So, chores wise. So we on chores wise. So we did this. We did this. You did that.
Yeah,
Um,
like
what
even
about,
if you can't do these things, these are all things that you can learn to do.
oh yes,
These are not. This is not like some magic thing.
that's why therapy.
Yeah, it's whatever therapy you choose.
So can you do? So can you take out your dogs and walk them?
My dogs walk themselves, but if they liked being walked, they really don't. They're not fans of it. But yes, I could.
And you can pick up behind them.
Yes,
Okay, so now you see that he is more independent than let's go with me. I'm still in the process of learning the transfer. So I need help with the transfer. I still need help. Have somebody change me because I can't change myself. Like I said, y'all already know about the whole Casper thing, and that I can that will help cutting down on the urination and them changing me you're nationwise, you're wise, but bow wise. If I win, I win. That's why I said I can. Don't be never be afraid to say that you wear a diaper. And reason why and tell people why you wear a diaper. I don't have control of my bowels and bladder.
Yes.
And I'll be Huggy Johnson. I told you beyond that thing. I'm waiting for y'all. Give me a contract. First of all, they got the one transmodel.
A contract for what, man?
They got the that's another conversation to go on, because they got the transmodel that's that is for what agency she is? She had lead model management. Yeah, she had lead model management, and she trans, and she got cerebral palsy. I will send you her. That's like I said, that's in the conversation. But
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to be up there like her. Look, if she can do it, I can do it too. Let me be up there. I can be a stock model. I can really speak for your people and sell your products. They're saying, y'all, they're saying people out there, if y'all listen to them, be trying to be some masters, they're saying. Now, when it comes to chore wise, if my house was accessible, I could, and I said accessible, that means when accessible, I could do the garbage, washing dishes. I could do it. Like I said, it gotta be accessible.
Yeah,
Cook,
because if you can't get under the sink, the dishes ain't getting washed. That, trust me, I've tried it. It's the worst. Does
oh,
not.
I forgot about food preparation. So, can you make your own meals?
Can I? No, I have not taken the time to learn to cook. And that is again because of the setup that I had. If I had a different setup, the original setup for the house was perfect, but that setup got changed. That's a whole other story.
Like I said, that's a whole other conversation. So, because okay, so you can do that to microwave. Meal preparation, the same thing. Now let's go to animals. I have a dog and three ferrets. I cannot. I can. I now. He's still a puppy, and I have not yet took him. He had been outside a couple of times, but yet been outside to let's go for a walk and do all that. Yet when we go, I'm in the midst of movement, so when that comes, I will be doing that a lot more, going outside with him and doing the walk thing. Now my three ferrets, I have to have help with them because they are ferrets. Are first thing you need to know about ferrets. Ferrets are thieves and runners. They like to run. They like to run.
Because
They don't
his
play.
parents are
I won't be
rambunctious,
able
we'll say.
I won't be able if they run somewhere. I ain't gonna lie to you or nobody else in this show or Romeo. I'm not gonna fall on the floor and try to catch them. Oh hell no! Fuck that bullshit.
And you shouldn't.
And I'm not gonna do it. That's why I have help with them. Now, if cleaning the cage wise, I'm gonna start being more involved doing that. I'm gonna make sure that they're on something where I can still. I'm gonna have to have some help with that. Them putting them down, but taking out the cage or doing that and actually cleaning and scooping up poop. Absolutely, I'm absolutely do just like the dog cage. Like now, the dog cage. Someone else doing it. I need help with that. I do need help, and I'm trying to get back to where I was at before my secondary causes started causing me to be less independent. I'm trying to be more back independent. But I don't need the only help I probably need is please help me get my pants on. But I was in therapy, they were trying to teach me about that and how to do that by myself.
And that's something you can also learn. It took me years to learn how to do that too. I didn't just, that's not just a thing that I you know, I didn't learn that one time. That was, and I didn't go to therapy for that. I just learned that
See,
years of just doing it.
then also I forgot the Charlie Brown did give me some leg straps, but I do, which I only reason I don't use it now because I'm waiting till my left, like I said, left arm is playing a big role. But with the leg straps, if once my clothes and all that on, I can actually like slide my leg over to
Yeah,
do
you,
get
yeah,
off
you,
the bed
you just pick them up. Yeah,
that. Now there are different equipment that you use that your healthcare worker should say something about if you want to like let you tell them like I'm trying to be as impossible or like I said they should as your healthcare and I'm a healthcare person and people that work in healthcare and working disabled please make this disabled like person life better, make them independent, make their life
yeah,
as happy and
because
independent as possible.
because
But
a lot of disability is just practice, and what you can do as a person who works in the healthcare industry, in the healthcare field, particularly an occupational therapist, is give them something to practice.
Yes.
There's, and this is
And physical.
a gripe I have with physical therapists specifically, because they give you exercises and they don't tell you what these exercises are actually for.
Then those physical therapists and the occupational therapists, they need not to. They first of all, they need not to work with you, or do they not doing their job right? Because these people,
They tell you to do this.
they
Yeah,
supposed to tell you why you doing X, Y, and Z.
15 times
This,
a day, both sides.
mm-mm.
Why? What does this do for my body? How does this make me better? Like, because right now, doing this with you just makes me tired. So
Aha.
why would I?
Oh,
So why would I do this? And they go, but you won't be tired if you do it more often. And it's like, but you haven't told me why I should do it in the first place.
exactly. They
So
call the therapy people that you went to out of this field.
it just becomes this.
I'm at a thing for you because my therapy experience is so much different, and they step by step. But I would advocate more. But see, that's when advocation comes. Like, look, this is what I want you to do.
And this is also because when I started therapy, and I will emphasize this again, when I started therapy, I was a child, right? My parents woke me up at 6 a.m. I didn't want to get up at 6 a.m. and go to a hospital and get in a walker because that was fun. It was just something my parents did for me because the doctor said it was a good idea, and that was the time the therapist had, 6 a.m.
Once again, and it's stating for parents and parents tell you to, and parents to do this. Parents, please learn about your child's disability, and child need to learn, and child, please learn about your disability because Romeo had
Because
a
as you get older, your parents are not going to be able to talk.
yes,
Fun fact, kids, when you turn 16, you have your medical rights. Your parents can't say anything. If you don't want to have a surgery, if you don't want to go to therapy, you can say no, and the doctors cannot touch you. Nobody can force you to do anything medically once you turn 16 years old.
yes.
In case you didn't know, now you do.
Yes, please. Parents, please be more of advocate of your child because you gotta make sure at the end of the day you have to think like the healthcare doctor. First of all, you have to think of your child. And your child's thinking you know you want your child wants to be as normal as possible. They try to normalize their disability. So normalize disability, you need to tell the therapist and doctor key things, especially therapists when it comes to therapists, key things that this is gonna make my child normal. If my child I want my child to learn how to sit up. What do I need to do? Exercise. What do I need to do to take my child to sit up on his own?
Exactly.
Like as normal as possible. Please base
Exactly.
everything on that because Romeo's therapy experience is like I know probably like many others and many others out there right clapping their hands like, oh my goodness, I'm not the only one that went through this. And like I said, Romeo been disabled all his life when he was a child, and his parents probably did not know as much as they probably know now. And he was still learning his stuff. He was still learning. Luckily that he found athletics. And athletics helped him with therapy and normalize his life to make him normal with his disability, normalize his disability as possible. With me, on the other hand, you know what? I got therapy, and I got introduced to therapy, and it helped me on out with therapy and the communication and things that were helping me normalize my disability for my life.
Yes. Martial arts taught me to adapt to my body because I had to adapt to what was happening to me actively. It wasn't just me not being able to do this thing, so I didn't do it. I had to figure it out, or I was just, my body was going to be broken. So that was the whole mentality. I have to figure out how to make this work. Otherwise, I'm not going to achieve what I want to achieve. And that would be me wasting my time and possibly injuring myself or worse. So I had no choice but to figure it out. And through figuring out things like boxing and jujitsu, I figured out a lot of other things in my life, which help my home life. So
Yes.
find your therapy. I'm an advocate of once you're old enough, you don't necessarily need standard physical therapy
So
because standard physical therapy doesn't work for everybody. You need
we have
some movement.
therapy.
You need to do something. You have to do something. You can't lay in your bed and die.
Yes. That's
You
why
have to do something.
I got a couple of quotes for the end of this that is going to put some perspective on what we talked about. But yes, self therapy is a great thing. I'm advocating self therapy too, but I'm an advocate more for on the therapy side because therapy can build you a base and off
Therapy
the base,
works. Therapy works if you know what you want it to do. Therapy does not work if you go in there because somebody said it was a good idea.
you
You
go to therapy because you
you have to be the leader of that pack. Just because the therapist has a degree and the doctor has a medical degree means we'll be right back.
have you heard about Anchor? Well, let me tell you about Anchor. Anchor is an app where you can make podcasts. It's easy to use and it's free. It has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast to Spotify and Apple. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum relationship. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started.
to go
To
to go and move on.
Right, to go further on. And and I can cut off therapy because now athletics is teaching me about my body, but different things that
Exactly.
people do.
And this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying therapy is bad. I'm saying it needs to be used properly.
Well, I know that, but for somebody like you said, you advocate for self therapy. I'm advocate for therapy can help, but you got to be the one to talk to your therapist,
Because
talk.
like you
Main
said,
thing, talk.
therapy is a base. I had therapy as a child. It didn't really help me to learn my body because they were just like, get in a walker and walk, get on the parallel bars and walk, and do these leg lifts. And it didn't really help me understand how my body works and why it works the way it did. They would go, can you crawl up the stairs? And I said, and they got me. I never forget this. They got me some foam stairs, and they said, can you crawl up the stairs? I said, yeah. So I crawled up the stairs, and they said, and she asked me, she said, how do you get down the stairs? I said, I slide down the stairs. My feet stop me. And she said, you slide down the stairs. I said, yeah. She said, that's bad for your ankles. And I said, oh, well, okay, what do you want me to do? And she said, you could just crawl backwards. And I was like, well, I've never done that before. And so I'm sitting at the top of these foam stairs and I'm waiting on her to teach me because I'm here and I'm ready to crawl backwards with her behind me, guiding me, whatever, because I've never done this before. And she doesn't help me. She's like, we're just going to get down. And I'm like, what?
See,
You told me I should crawl backwards, so you're supposed to be teaching me how to do it.
see that, and that's the wrong therapist because
And,
you can't
and
recommend
that
somebody that you're not going to show them. So they said, "Oh, I see. So now let's do this together." That's like I said,
and that is
wrong.
called bad therapy.
That yes, that is bad. Extra. So y'all, from this conversation, if y'all take anything, be an advocate for your health, learn about your condition, and be an advocate for your health.
because you are the leader of the pack and not the guinea pig. Remember that. You are not the guinea pig. Just because they say it's okay doesn't mean it is.
Right, because what they say is okay could affect you, can affect where it might not be okay. Be like, oh,
Yeah.
I do this
You
now.
you have
I'm in
you
work.
have X conditions, we're gonna fix it, and then something else happens and you have new secondary conditions that you didn't go in with. So
Right, and also
know how your body works, people.
yes, and also parents, please learn about your child's condition. Please make it where you talk to therapists, doctors, that you try to make your child as normal life as possible, and make sure that you teach your child because, like Romeo said, at 16, I didn't know at 16 that it was your legal right to say no at all. I don't want. I don't want to, because you ain't gonna be there for your child all the time, and the child and everybody. We all grow up. We all grow up, so they need to know.
They
So
do, yes, that is true.
So guys, so I thought the quote that I was saying I be using all the time about normal. I did on top of my head, but I didn't say the quote right. The quote is normal is an illusion. What is normal for the fly is normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. That's by Martika Adams. Now here's another quote by Oscar Wilde. To live to live to live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people as this. That's all. And another quote is, I said the Oscar Wilde quote. Don't ask yourself. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go and do it. Because what the world needs is people to have come alive. I
And
let
with that,
I let y'all play with those few quotes, people.
with that, we are out of here, folks.
Oh yes. So please, everybody, please, press the like button, hit that subscribe button, share us.
Comment down below.
Yes, all of the streams are down below. This is sponsored by Anchor, by the way. That's down
See
below.
you next time.
And also, if you don't want to, view us by YouTube, you can also stream us.
On any of the podcasting platforms.
Yes. Yes, everybody. So until next time, we are out.
We're
Bye.
out of here, folks.
Bye.